Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of the altered book tutorial. In part 1 we altered the actual book itself, and this is the completed one that I've just finished up. And now I'm ready to move on to part 2, where I'm using the inside pages that had gotten torn out from the book. So what I'll be using is roughly about 45 pages from that book, and I'm going to be using some chipboard for the cover. It's an 8.5 by 11 piece of chipboard that I cut in half. And I've also gone through my pages and just kept the ones that aren't too badly torn here on the edge. And the reason for that is because I'm going to be binding this one with binder rings, and so I want to be sure that my pages can get inserted into the rings properly. So any extra pages that I have that didn't make the cut, these will be used. I'll use them in a punch or something and make extra tags or embellishments for this journal. Okay? So you'll notice here that I've already punched my holes out in this front cover, and I'll tell you why. Normally I don't do that until after I've finished doing up my cover, but I'm working in this particular order for a reason. The cover I'm going to be using is from the Tea and Tweets printable kit. So this is going to be the front and this will be the back. And we'll get to that very soon. But what I wanted to do was to figure out where my holes were going to be first, so that I could go ahead and punch the holes in all of my pages ahead of time. So that's because this edge here is torn, and it would be kind of hard to figure out where if you were trying to measure from this side. Okay? I hope you know what I mean here. So in this case, I'm thinking I'll probably be able to use these 3/4 inch binder rings, and if I decide that it gets too bulky later on, I can always upgrade my rings to 1-inch rings or bigger if I wanted. So my holes, I'm using 3, so that if I decide to add half pages inside this book, then I'll have 2 rings that I can attach them to. Okay? So my holes are at about 3/8 of an inch from the straight edge of my cover. So with the cover being 5.5 by 8.5, my pages are a little shy of that measurement, and they're also sort of jaggedy on the edge here. So the way I'm going to know where to line up my holes here is just to center my page so that there's equal distance from the bottom and the top and the side. Okay? So that's where we're going to draw up our holes. I'll just flip it over like that, and then I'll draw my holes. Okay? So then I'll have a template of where the holes are going to go for each page all the way through my book. Now I think this book is going to look really neat with all these pages being rough here, so that when you look at it from the side, it'll be nice and rough here. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and punch all the holes in my pages, and then we'll come back and do the cover. Okay, our holes are all punched out and ready to go. And I've also made the front cover to show you, and I stained the chipboard and then glued my image. So this one's still a little tacky, it's drying, and we'll do the back cover. I just put my stain on some kitchen sponges, and then I either dab or swipe. So I'm going to start with the first layer I'll use Vintage Photo. And I just kind of dab it on my sponge. And I slide it. Now this part of the journal is really, you know, up to you. You don't have to follow this method at all. This is just how I wanted to make mine. Basically the point of this second tutorial was just to show you how you can actually get 2 journals out of one book. So I'm going to keep distressing this chipboard here, and I'll show it to you when it's all done. So my covers are done, and there's just one final step left for these. The images have been glued and the stain has been applied. I've also done a bit of distressing of the edges of the chipboard just to make it look vintage, and some of the edges of the image have also been sanded down and distressed a bit. And now I'm ready to put a seal to the cover. Now this part isn't necessary. I do it not necessarily to protect the cover from water or anything like that. It's because whenever I'm done a project, playing with paper and glue is kind of messy, and I'm always left with some shiny little smudges from the Mod Podge and from the glues that I used. So to cover those up, I like to use a glue and seal product like this one. This is actually called Glue and Seal, and it's by Essentials. You could use your Mod Podge if you wanted. This one here is a matte finish. I don't typically use any of the glossy ones. I like things to be more matte. So that's the final step here that I'm going to do, is I'm just going to apply this coat here and then let that dry. Alright, so my covers are drying nicely. I gave them a good coat of seal, and they're just going to sit for a few hours and they'll be ready. Now I'm choosing the pages and extra goodies that I'm going to add to the inside of the book. I will be using some of these digitals. This is from the Tea and Tweets kit. I'll probably also use the belly bands and these labels in it. And I've got a 2-inch scallop punch that's going to work nicely on these. So I'll be using that. And do you remember the pages earlier I mentioned that were a little too torn to be used as pages? They were just put through my Big Shot, and I will use those to make tuck-in spots on my pages, like that. Okay, I also have some envelopes that I'll be putting in there, and some matching scrapbook paper from my stash here. So I am going to be assembling this book and then showing you a slideshow at the end of this tutorial, because pretty much this part is a lot like the part 1 tutorial, where you just kind of add and dress up the pages however you want. So if you have any questions at all, I hope you'll contact me or leave a comment below. I really just wanted to show you how you can use one book and create 2 journals so that there's no waste at all. I really enjoyed making these, and I thank you for watching. See you later.